So the first thing I would encourage you to do is go to, if you have your computer or otherwise, go to evals.wm.edu and look at the evaluation form. So if you've taught before, you're going to have previous evaluations, but you can get but then there's also going to be data there for all faculty on the form that your department uses and the means from previous years. So I'm going to show my form, just wanted to put the link there so you could, or the website, and that's all I type in to a browser and it pops up for me. So this is the actual form that my department uses. And remember that every department does things a little bit differently. So you want to be sure to find out what form your department uses and which questions they value the most, or that they've kind of put the most weight on. Right. So this was from my 50 student class from the spring of 2021, I think. And my response rate for this particular semester was much lower. This was a remote asynchronous taught class. So I'm happy with the response rate I got from a remote asynchronous class, but it certainly is lower than I would have liked, and lower than it would have been, I think, if it was in person. So showing this to you, not to look at my evaluations per se, although I think we should be open about sharing, as older faculty members should be sharing our evaluations with others to demystify the process. So if you do have an in-department faculty mentor, I would recommend asking to go review their previous course evaluations if they're comfortable with that. The evaluation forms, knowing the questions is really informative, not so that you can teach to the test, but to know what your department values. So Mike asked, which questions does your department value? I think every new faculty member should be asking their department which are the questions that carry the most weight or are looked at the most. And for some, it would be similar to the questions that are looked at in my department. For other folks, it might be the comments. It could be different types of questions. So know what the questions are, and also know which ones are going to be scrutinized within your department. One of the things I recommend is telling the class how you particularly use the evaluation. So this is where I really give a plug to the class for providing written comments, and to do it in a way that would be useful. So, I sort of will say, it's not really useful to me if you say she stinks and I don't like her. That's not going to be useful to me. But if there's specific things that I can change, like speak up, right? If she talks too softly, please include specific things that I can do. So I like to have that conversation with the class as part of this series of reminders to please complete it. Biggest recommendation I would have, particularly for new faculty members, is to don't wait till the end of the semester to get that evaluation. You should be doing a mid-semester evaluation right now. So it's the midterm point. They should have gotten some feedback, and this way you can really you can address things before the end of the semester, where you might be blindsided by some feedback that you could have maybe changed pretty easily. So I've just put in. I don't know if this will work or not. We shall see. Okay, yeah. So this is my Qualtrics survey. So all faculty members here have access to use Qualtrics. You can use SurveyMonkey, you can do all kinds of things, but Qualtrics I've found is pretty easy to use. So this was, again, for the same class, I shared the evaluations for. This was the mid-semester questionnaire that I put up for them. And you guys, with the slides, you should be able to access these, and you could take these questions or make your own. But I wanted to make it different than the end of semester one, but how likely are you to recommend Professor Dallaire to another student? How knowledgeable is this Professor Dallaire? I guess there's a typo there. And so this is my async course. How useful are the pre-recorded videos? How organized is this instructor? So some of these map on how useful are the reading and different assignments. And then I kind of pushed them to say, what's the most useful thing, which I wasn't so interested in that as much as I was, what are they hating, right? What is the least useful thing? and then open-ended comments, but real simple. Tell me what's working for you, what should I do more of, and tell me what isn't working for you. So at the mid-semester point, it's just a great time to check in and to get some of this information. But here's the important thing. You don't just take the information, right? You have to go back to them and say, thank you all. And here I get fairly low response rates, like in a class of 40, maybe you get 20 or 25, but it's really useful. And to say, okay, here's what you all said. And it can help you have a conversation about here's why I do it this way. Here's why I sign these particular readings. Or you could say, okay, I heard you loud and clear. You don't like X, Y, or Z. We're going to drop it, or you can make some changes. And that way, again, you're not blindsided at the end of the semester.